When did you meet after the NFL, Leon? How did your transition? How did it go from whatever you were doing after the NFL to getting into pro wrestling? Did you grow up a wrestling fan? Was this something that you backed into? How'd that whole dichotomy come about after football?
I was into real estate. I had gotten as a Ram. First thing I did was after I was drafted, obviously was excited moving back home, really going home. I'd only been away for 5 years because of my redshirt year in college. I'd only been in Colorado for 5 years, so it was a homecoming for me. And obviously I had a different zip code of my high school days and my younger days in Compton, and I had bought a fourplex about 3 blocks from the beach in Belmont Shores. And I did that with my bonus money and got a real estate license and was developing properties. And, in the off-season, I was very interested in real estate and did well in it.
If you're selling real estate, you played in, you go to the NFL, the injuries do what they do to a lot of guys. It ends careers before they need to end. Now you get your real estate license, which is smart because you got Plan B. But how did you get with Brad Rheingans? Because Brad Rheingans is the one that trained you, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I believe Brock Lesnar was trained by him also.
He was, yeah.
Yeah. Brad, I went down with a gentleman by the name of Greg Boyd, who was a former Denver Bronco. And Greg was a big man, 6'7", and Greg and I, we took off, headed to Minnesota, and we followed each other. So, him in my car, and we went down there and rented a place and hooked up with Brad Rheingans, and he had a big, nice home. And Brad is a wrestling fanatic and very, very good coach. And he trained people, a lot of big names. I mean, Brock Lesnar, myself, and Kurt Hennig, just to name a few. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So Brad is a recognized coach as far as I'm concerned. But he had an indoor pool down in his, I don't know what you'd call his garden level, and he just took some cement and filled it up and set up a wrestling ring and some weights, and Brad was a great amateur wrestler himself, and he trained people there. That's where I was trained.
Was the goal that you'd train with Brad and then go to work for Vern Gagne?
Well, you know what? It really didn't have much of a plan starting out, but obviously as we started training, and I had gotten, for some reason I had it set in my mind that you had to be 400 plus pounds to be a professional wrestler. So I'm in the gym lifting for size and strength, and I got up to that probably a legitimate 415 pounds, and just was huge. I wore a 72 coat, and I could bench press 600 pounds, and I could squat nearly 1,000. And I would, Jim, this is a true story. I could take 365 pounds behind my neck and jump press it, doing basically a military press behind the neck press, sets of 10. And I'm not talking about repping at one time. I'm talking about a set of 10, resting and doing another set of 10. I was extremely strong and a big mobile man, agile in the ring and moving well and drop kicking and doing things that. So we kind of, with myself and Greg Boyd, who obviously he's an NFL defensive tackle, so he was a very athletic and 6'7". So we got some interest. I remember Vern and Greg and coming over and watching us work out and stuff like that. So that kind of came about as we drew attention to ourselves, basically, from what we were doing, in Brad's camp.
Sure. You get out of Brad's camp with some fundamental skills, big natural athlete, amazing strength. Where was your first booking as a pro wrestler?
I probably Denver, Colorado, and one of the things that
was it for Vern?
Yeah, you bet. One of the things that I guess upset some people is that everyone was required, if you were going to get booked by Vern back in that time, you had to live in Minnesota, and I never did really have to do that. I stayed in Boulder, and they flew me around and got a little heat from the boys on that one. That everyone else was down there suffering those long, hard winters in Minnesota, and the winters here in Boulder aren't good anymore, but they were certainly better than Minnesota at that time. So, but Denver, Colorado, and I debuted as a big baby face, former Colorado All-American.
Was that your baby bull years?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, Leon, the baby bull white, or bull power.
Yeah, bull power.
And
some of those old, some fans will remember seeing some of those older ESPN AWA shows where you were being, featured as a young guy, new guy, so big, agile, But I remember the baby bull and the bull power and all that stuff where they'd book against some of these poor underneath guys and you just guzzle them. It's like they didn't have a damn chance, but it was really entertaining. I guess at some point, Leon, and I'm only guessing this, so you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
That the money working for Vern in those days, somewhere along the way, somebody came to you with an offer to go to either Japan or somewhere, because you broke away from the AWA after that baby bull Leon White run. He didn't put you on top, as I recall. Am I right or wrong on that deal? You're still kind of learning your way, but you knew that there was
more. I'm learning my way. I'm going over. I was probably not experienced enough to carry a single match, and I was part of tag teams with myself, Scott Hall, and Kurt Hennig. We would represent a three-man, and of course Kurt Hennig and Scott Hall were the tag team champions, so I'd fit in that way, and either as part of a more experienced guy, where I could come in and highlight myself and take a little shine and get back out, where I wasn't really required to carry the match or anything of that nature. But a big Otto Vance, he came over, and he had a company, CWA, in Austria, Catch Wrestling Austria, and had a good crew of gentlemen. I mean, older, more experienced wrestlers, and they wrestled rounds over there, and I found that very, very interesting, where we would wrestle 4-minute rounds, and I had turned heel at this point, and so I guess my understanding is Otto actually paid Vern some money, and next thing I know, I'm being told by Vern that hey, would you like to go to Austria and work full time, work every night, and they have seasons where you would work 7 or 8 months out of the year, and you'd go over there and live and come back, 3.5 months out of the year, and then go back there, and it sounded attractive to me, and I jumped all over that, and I went over there and worked for a big Otto Vance and the Catch Wrestling, and once I got over there and got used to the style, I became their world champion, I think 3 or 4 times, and became their intercontinental champion, and had a good run. Made for the time what was very good money, and drank some good cold beer, and had my young family over there, my wife and my son, and it was a great experience.